Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, you guys. Welcome back to another true crime story. If you are new to my channel, hello, welcome. My name is Jessica. I upload true crime videos every Friday. I also post true crime on my TikTok. I will have it linked down below for you guys. But yes, let's just get into today's case, you guys, because it is absolutely fucking crazy. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Everything we say in this video is 100% alleged. We mean no disrespect to anybody involved in today's case. So I actually heard about this case not that long ago. I think it's been about a month since I first saw this video on a lovely true crime channel called Explore With Us. They did a super in-depth deep dive video on this case and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to cover that case because it is just so fucking crazy. And so this actually happened pretty recently. I would consider it kind of recent. It happened in 2021. So let me set the scene. Okay, picture this. It's March 1st, 2021. It's a normal spring day in Grand Junction, Colorado. The birds are chirping, the sun is out, the air is crisp. You know, like when the weather is absolutely perfect during spring, when like the air is kind of chilly, but the sun is out and it just feels so good. It was one of those days. But suddenly, a frantic mother would make a shocking 911 call to report a human head and hands found in her son's closet. Her son was 19-year-old Brian Cohey Jr. These horrifying remains were soon discovered to belong to a 69-year-old man by the name of Warren Barnes. So how did we get here? Who is Brian Cohey Jr. and how did Warren Barnes' remains end up in his closet? And why? Brian Cohey Jr. was born in Colorado to parents Brian Cohey Sr. and Terry Cohey. From what I read, Brian had a pretty decent childhood. He grew up with his brother Andy. Brian, however, did struggle with things like anxiety, ADHD, and autism, and it was said that he took medication as early as the age of 5 to help with these things. In school, Brian was known to be the class clown, and he would really strive to make people laugh with the absolutely shocking and crazy stuff that he would say. But his jokes didn't always land with his peers because you see, Brian had a particular sense of humor. He mainly liked to joke about morbid things like death and serial killers and how to kill and bloody and gore and like that kind of thing, which honestly was really off-putting to a lot of people. A lot of people didn't really think he was like super funny. They thought he was kind of like an oddball. More often than not, Brian's conversations and jokes with pretty much everybody in his life were centered around these morbid topics. His mom, Terry, had actually advised him to take his fascination with morbidity and apply it to something like forensics or being a crime scene investigator, something where he would be able to fully feed his interests but also make a difference in the world and like contribute, you know. However, he would go on to do the complete opposite. So on February 28th of 2021, police got a call at around 2 a.m. that a car has somehow gotten stuck at the Blue Heron boat ramp. Officers arrive at the scene and find Terry Cohey and her son Brian Cohey Jr. and they see that the front end of his Ford 500 was like stuck in the water. And so his mother is on the phone trying to call a tow truck to see if anybody can come out here and get this car unstuck. And so she approaches officers and kind of starts to recount the situation and let them know what was going on. So she tells officers that Brian is an inexperienced driver and he claims that he parked his car, he got out so that he could walk around, get some fresh air, and when he came back to his car, he realized that the front end was in the water and that there was no way of getting it out. And so as they're having this conversation, the officer happened to look over and see Brian Cohey Jr. sitting in the car just watching them have this conversation. So he obviously goes over to Brian Jr. and decides to get the information straight from the source and ask him like what happened here.
This your son right here?
Yep.
Hey partner, you want to come out and talk to me real quick?
Sure,
Appreciate it, man.
I'm really cold. Is it okay if it's in here? Because
That's fine. Because he had
Okay, that's fine. I did not know that. No, that's, please stay in the car.
Yeah.
All right. Nobody else in the car?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
no, just us. I'm the father, that's the mother, and this is our son. He just called us 20 minutes ago and said, Dad, I parked at the boat ramp and I messed up. I tried to get out of the car and it slid down.
Well, you're not hurt, right? You're okay?
no, just a little
Okay.
cold is all.
Beside your pride a little bit?
And probably $7,000.
Okay. All right, man. Do you have your ID with you, driver's license by any chance?
Thankfully,
What were you doing down here, bud?
well, I felt like I needed to get out,
Okay.
and I figured, why not park here and just
Just relax a little
just
bit.
relax and think.
Okay.
And I parked on the boat ramp,
Okay.
and I thought it would be easy to get out. But when I tried to,
Where did you park exactly? Were you down the hill a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
And then
When he got back in, go ahead.
when I got back in, I tried to put it in drive, and it didn't go up. So then I tried putting it in low gear, shimmying it a bit. That didn't work.
Were you facing down?
No,
at
I
this
was
point, or were
facing.
you
I was
facing
facing
this way?
up.
Okay.
You back down?
Yeah.
Really good
Because
idea.
Everyone at the scene was just so dumbfounded at the whole situation and couldn't imagine how a silly mistake like this could have happened, but they kind of just laughed it off and brushed it off as an inexperienced driver who made a silly mistake. And so officers spent quite some time trying to come up with the solution to this problem, and they were trying really hard to find a company who was willing to come out here at 2 a.m. and get this car out of the water, which is not easy, by the way. So at this point, Brian is free to go. He wasn't involved in any car accident. He wasn't under the influence, so he was free to go. So Brian's parents ended up taking him home, but they returned to the scene to wait and see what was going to happen with the car. So after about an hour, a tow truck company finally arrives to save the day, and they start to try and get this damn car out of the water. And so it was during this time that one of the officers on the scene actually noticed some red substance dripping down the back of the car. So the officer walks over to the Cohees, who were just sitting in their car patiently waiting to see what was going to happen, and the officer let them know that he sees a lot of red in the back of that car and that it appears to be blood.
Hey, quick question for you.
Sure.
So the back bumper, I don't know, you can probably see it from here. It's a lot of red on the back of that, dripping down it all a little bit. That's underneath the license plate, a little area right there. Okay. A lot of red, which means looks like blood.
Blood?
Yeah. I don't know if did your son hurt himself on his way out at all?
He might have, he just didn't know it. I don't know.
That's why I'm asking. It's a good question. He's at home. He's to make sure he's not got a cut or
He just said he's going to bed.
something out on him somewhere that he's not aware of. Maybe because his adrenaline was a little high. Maybe just have him do like a self check, make sure he's okay.
Hello?
Brian, are you okay? They see blood on the back bumper of the vehicle.
Really?
Yeah, did you get hurt?
No.
Are you sure you don't have any injuries?
No, I'm fine. There's blood on it?
What-
We're not sure.
We're not sure. It's a red, something red underneath the license plate.
Similar blood stain.
Oh, no.
All right, but you're not injured. You don't have any cuts.
No, I don't know what would cause blood or whatever it is on the bumper.
But you're not injured.
No, I'm not injured.
So the car is eventually released into the custody of the Cohees, who end up taking it home and they call it a night. The next day, on March 1st, 2021, police officers find themselves yet again at the Blue Heron boat ramp, but this time it was to investigate a missing persons report. 69-year-old Warren Barnes had been reported missing that day by his good friend Monique. You see, Monique was one of his good friends who was a bridal shop owner. I guess she had known Warren for about the past 4 years, and over the years they developed a really good friendship, and she would try and help him out as much as she could. She would often give him a chair to sit on so that he could read his books, because it was said that Warren was such a bookworm. He had such a thirst for knowledge and he loved to read books. So Monique had last seen him on Saturday, February 28th at around 5 p.m. And, her and Warren said their goodbyes, and Warren let her know that he would be seeing her the next day. But when he didn't show up, she got very worried. It was really unlike Warren to just not show up. He would routinely go to the bridal shop and he was always in constant communication with Monique. And so when he didn't show up the next day, she thought it was really alarming. And not to mention, he actually had a job, you guys. So he had been working for this company by the name of People Ready for the past 4 years, and he never missed a day. Not a single day. In the entire 4 years that he worked there, he never missed a day. So this was obviously very, very concerning. So People Ready actually called Monique to ask her if she had seen Warren, because he didn't show up for work. Nobody's heard from him. They too thought it was really weird. And so this is what prompted Monique to call the police police. Monique would go on to tell officers that someone had actually found Warren's wallet that day. And so in an effort to reach Warren about the wallet, this individual started to look through it, and that's when he found Warren's work ID. So this individual called People Ready to inquire about what he had just found. However, People Ready would also inform this individual that yes, Warren does work for them, but he actually has been missing and did not show up for work today. Now, who is the mysterious caller, you might be asking? Well, it was fucking Brian Cohey Sr. Brian Sr. had discovered Warren's wallet in his son's Ford 500, the same car that he got stuck in the water the night before. According to Brian Sr., he found the wallet on the passenger side of the door, and he also found this like large, like really fucking huge knife in the glove box of the car. So of course he thought this was really strange. You know, he was wondering to himself, how did this random person's wallet end up in my son's car, and what the hell is my son doing with this giant fucking knife? So after Brian Sr. found the wallet, of course we know that he called People Ready to inquire about Warren, and that's when they let him know that Warren never showed up. So after hearing all of this, the red flags were just starting to go off in Brian Sr.'s head as he started to piece together all of the strange circumstances surrounding the past 24 hours. The car getting mysteriously stuck underwater, Warren's wallet being found in the car, the knife, the blood that was outside of the car, and to top it all off, Warren is missing. So he calls his son Brian to ask him about this discovery. Brian Jr. tells his dad that he randomly found the wallet and that he decided to just take it, but that he had no idea who it belonged to. He said it was no big deal, it was a random find, and that there was really nothing to it. Brian Sr. would go on to say that his son's response felt really sincere to him, and he truly wanted to believe his son in this moment. However, despite all of this, Brian Sr. still felt deep down like something was not right. He just had a gut feeling that something was terribly wrong. So later on in the day, Brian Jr. had ended up leaving the house to go hang out and spend some time with a friend. And so Brian Jr.'s mom, Terry, took this time to go and clean her son's room, tidy things up for him, you know, as mothers tend to do. And it was during this time that she noticed this like huge bin that Brian had in his closet. She noticed that it had a bunch of stuff in it, so she decided to go through it because she was genuinely curious as to what was inside the bin. And that's when she discovered inside 2 plastic bags a severed human head. So she's obviously freaking out, and she immediately calls her husband and tells him, you need to get the fuck home now. Brian Sr. rushed home and was absolutely horrified at what his wife had discovered. So the family decided to get Brian Jr. to come back to the home, but they wanted to do this without him knowing about what they had just found. So Brian Sr. had actually sent a text message to Brian Jr. telling him that he needed to come home because they needed the car back so that they could take brother Andy out for driving lessons. So as Brian Jr. was making his way up the driveway of the house, Terry was making a frantic phone call to police telling them they needed to get here now. Police soon arrived at the Cohey house, and they were immediately met by a super frantic and distraught Terry Cohey and a very calm and collected Brian Jr.
What's going on, man?
Not much. Cooperate. I am going to cooperate.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
Do you have anything on you? He's going to cut, poke, hurt, stick me anything without reaching for nothing? Don't reach for nothing.
My phone and my wallet, that's
okay.
it.
Well, I'm going to have you face that way. Put your hands on top of your head for me real quick. I just want to make sure you interlace your fingers for me real quick, all right? I'm going to have you walk over here. You're going to sit in the back of my partner's patrol car for a minute, okay? Not yet. Okay. Just sit back there and hang out for me, okay? Can you walk me inside, please?
Let's walk you off through this, what happened in the very beginning.
Okay.
Let me do it. You go inside.
Well, let's stay out here with me for a minute.
Sit down. Come on, sit down, baby.
Can I go in there and verify here
Oh,
first?
yeah, please.
Let me
We
go
haven't
through
seen
that.
it. Yeah, we haven't
Okay.
looked at it.
It's under the towel in the sink.
Okay.
Yeah, Annie, stay with your mother. Give her a...
Just make sure that guy goes in the car first.
I can stay here. You can go in the sink, right?
Well,
The sink
okay.
right there. No, you can on your phone.
Yeah.
House is empty.
Okay.
We just had a bag feeling about what happened this weekend.
Okay.
And she said there's a bag in this closet, and she opened it up. And she called me and said, get over here right now. I covered it with a towel.
Okay.
I didn't want him to see it because we didn't want him to run. I don't want to look at it.
Yep. Just sit back there and hang out for me, okay?
How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you? You said your name's Brian?
Yeah. I'm not feeling too well.
You're not feeling too well?
Police immediately take Brian Jr. and place him in the police vehicle so that they can go inside the home to investigate further. As officers are starting to work on securing the scene, Brian Jr. is on his way to the police station for questioning. Now, his interrogation video was really long and it was really interesting, so I'm going to leave it down below, but just to give a little bit of a rundown, they basically start the interview by asking Brian some things about his childhood and about himself and about his life, and they're doing this to sort of create that connection and create that trust in between them so that he is more likely to spill his guts and confess, right? So they're asking him these questions, pretending like they give a fuck about his life, pretending like they give a fuck about his interests and things like that, but they're really trying to establish that level of trust to get him to spill everything. And so Brian is actually the one that starts to lead the conversation towards what happened, and he lets them know that he has been wanting to do this for a really long time. He's always had such a fascination with killing and morbid things and murder and things like that. And so he's really like spilling all of these thoughts that he's been carrying around in his mind for the longest time. You can just tell that he is so happy and excited reliving this crime. And so I'm gonna play a little bit of his confession, but I do want to warn you, it is a little bit graphic, so if you want to just skip on through, go ahead.
The gloves can betray their users because they're so thin, those vinyl gloves, by putting your fingerprints through. So I put on 3 on one hand. I took the knife, I pulled back the canvas, and I stabbed his neck. Okay. He was panicking at first in his old man voice. He was in his 50s. I know why I call him old man. He was saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Ah!" And I just kept on stabbing his neck. Is it okay if I do a demonstration?
Oh, yeah.
This is him. I was straddled on top of him like this.
Okay.
And he couldn't fight back. It was actually surprisingly easy. I was barely breaking a sweat. I thought, oh, this guy, he's going to be tough. But no, it was actually surprisingly easy. And during the time, I was growling and making animalistic noises. The whole ordeal lasted about a minute and a half.
Okay.
And when I was finished stabbing him, he took out his last breath, a grunt, and his head was halfway cut off in stabs. All the while, no, actually, after I killed him, I just couldn't stop saying, "Stinky, dirty, stinky."
And why were you saying that?
I don't know.
Okay. But you remember doing it, so.
Yeah. I suppose it was just me speaking out my mind at that moment. It was a pouring out of the mind.
Were you worried about, I mean, this looks like it's pretty close to the road and stuff. Somebody seeing you or catching you?
It was 11 p.m.,
okay.
So not many were driving by. Well, it was behind the pillar. So, like, here's the road.
Uh-huh.
It was here. So people would only see a brief thing here and here.
So were you worried about them seeing you?
I was worried about one of them stopping.
What did you think could happen if somebody...
Well, if they looked, well, it was quite dark under there, so they wouldn't have seen the guy unless they looked. They would have seen me holding a bloody 12-inch knife, wearing gloves, and wearing a mask to conceal my identity, a face mask.
Okay. So you weren't doing it for COVID, you were doing it to hide your face?
Partially. Social distancing. Right. Yeah, but no one stopped. And I'm just like, proves the bystander effect. Destroyed his eyes by stabbing them.
Okay.
And then I cut off his hands. I put those in plastic Ziploc bags. And then I cut off his right arm at this joint and at this joint. And then at this arm, I tried cutting it here, and then I tried cutting it here. But what happened was I accidentally broke his bone. This one, it was poking out. And so I left that one here, partially cut, dismembered here, bone sticking out. And then I left his body there. And then I took the head, put it in a leftover pizza box from the dinner a few nights ago. And then I took the hands, put them in the back, drove home, hid the hands and head in my room, cleaned the knife, threw away the garbage with the blood on it, and then put the blood stained, wasn't stained, it had splatters on it. I put it in the dish, in the washing machine.
What did you put in there?
I put the outfit I murdered him in the washing.
Wearing, or?
Yeah, I was wearing.
Okay.
In our washing machine, put it on high speed so it would effectively remove the blood. Washed it twice.
I can back up just so I don't lose track of where my mind is. So you cut him open, did you cut his arms off, his hands off, all that before you went home?
Yeah, before I went home, I tossed the arm bits around. Like I took the right arm bit, threw it out,
okay.
Took the left arm bit, threw it out.
So it's somewhere around that bridge?
Yeah, but look in because I know crime scenes can be a very wide area. Mm-hmm. You're going to want to look in a 10-foot area. So like, this is a zoom in. So here's the road. And here's where my car was parked. His corpse is here. I hope I'm being cooperative.
Oh, you're doing great.
So the big question is, why did Brian Jr. commit such a heinous crime? Well, he would go on to say that one of the reasons was because he just wanted to. He wanted to know what it felt like, and he had actually been planning to kill anyone. It didn't matter who, as long as he was able to kill somebody. He also made a statement during his interview with detectives saying that he committed his crime because he wanted to be a famous serial killer. He wanted to be remembered for his crimes and as this like prolific serial killer. He also said that he targeted Warren specifically because he was a homeless man, and he figured that if he killed a homeless man, police wouldn't really care that much. The community wouldn't really care because in his mind, homeless people's lives are a lot less valuable than anybody else's. Brian Jr. pleaded not guilty by insanity. During his trial, which started on January 17, his attorneys argued that his diagnosed mental health disorders, including major depressive disorder, ADHD, and autism, combined with the environmental stressors, caused him to be insane, and it's what ultimately caused Warren's death. Brian Cohey Jr. was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, including another 13.5 years. A memorial for Warren was placed outside of Monique's bridal shop. His death really impacted a lot of people in the community, especially his friends and family. A lot of people said that he was a really, really nice guy and was just an incredible man and had the purest heart and definitely did not deserve to die, and especially not in the horrific way that he died. It's really unfortunate that a lot of people tend to see homeless as less valuable than everybody else just because they're homeless, when Warren was a law-abiding citizen. He was a great man. He was a good friend. He was a good family member, and nobody deserves this, regardless if they're homeless or not. Let me know if you've heard about this case before and what you think. As always, if there are any cases you would like me to review on this channel, just let me know. I will do my best. But that is it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in on another true crime story. I hope you guys enjoyed today's case coverage. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys next Friday. Bye!